I'm here because I am a roaring lion crying out righteousness. Chris Christie's been on the tear. I mean, he's been after Donald Trump like white on rice. I mean, they smell blood in the water. I think that the two more indictments going to fall. I think that Jack Smith, that boy, going to indict Trump for January 6th. He and Rudy Giuliani, that whole crowd that was hanging out at the Willard Hotel, they're going to get all of them. And then there's that Fannie Willis down there in, what's her name, Georgia. You're going to indict him as well. And check this out. Eileen Kane, the canon, right, the judge from down there in Palm Beach that said that Florida, that Trump ought to be treated above the law, has now made a decision that the trial of Trump will go to court by August of this year. Good God Almighty! Well, I think I might move to Florida. I think I might move the media team down to Florida. We might check into the Mar-a-Lago Hotel, right? Because it's going to be something. It's just June. She said the trial will get underway by August. If I'm reading the tea leaves right, if I'm reading the reports right, rather. Anyway, I want y'all to hear what Chris Christie has been saying some things about Donald Trump. And I have to tell you, Donald Trump said Chris Christie is a gutless pig. But go ahead, Ms. Engineer, roll that clip.
Presidential candidate Chris Christie, the former two-term governor of New Jersey So Trump on his social media site is attacking former Trump officials that you know who have criticized him over the indictment. He's saying his former chief of staff, retired Marine General John Kelly, has a very small brain. For some reason, he put brain in quotation marks. He also called Kelly a mummy who sat in his office and stared at the ceiling. Trump called his former Attorney General Bill Barr a gutless pig, lazy, and totally ineffective. What do you make of the comments?
Well, look, Jake, I stood on the stage in 2016 and heard Donald Trump say he would only hire the very, very best people and he would know how to manage them. But think about what happens here. Here's what he says about Rex Tillerson when he gets in. He says he's the embodiment of the American dream, former CEO of ExxonMobil. He said when he left, here's what he said about him. He's dumb as a rock and lazy as hell. About General Mattis, four-star General Mad Dog Mattis, he said he was our very best general and that he was the closest thing we had to Patton. When he left, he said he was the most overrated general in American history. You mentioned Bill Barr and John Kelly already. How about Mick Mulvaney, who was his director of the Office of Management and Budget and his chief of staff? He said he was outstanding and brilliant. And when Mick Mulvaney left, he said he was a born loser. Lastly, how about General Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff? He said he was a great American and a great patriot when he joined the administration. When General Milley disagreed with him and he left, he called him pathetic and a blanking loser. Now, look, either Donald Trump, if you believe what he said when they left, that means he didn't pick the very best people and doesn't know how to pick personnel. If you believe what he said at the beginning, the great stuff, then this guy is the worst manager in the history of the American presidency. Either way, Republicans should listen to what he says. He's a petulant child when someone disagrees with him. And whether it's Bill Barr or John Kelly or General Mattis, whether it is Mick Mulvaney or whether it's, General Milley, if you disagree with Donald Trump, the petulant child comes out and he calls you names like the ones you just mentioned and the ones I mentioned.
So the RNC just said the candidates have to pledge to support the nominee in order to participate in the debates. Former Governor Asa Hutchinson, he tried to get a carve-out so the candidates would not have to be required to support a nominee if that nominee is a convicted felon. The RNC said, no, you have to stand by the nominee even if he or she is convicted of a felony. So if Donald Trump is the nominee, will you pledge to support him and vote for him even if he's a convicted felon?
Jake, I'm going to go back to 2016 again and say I'm going to take the pledge just as seriously as Donald Trump took it in 2016. As you'll remember, Reince Priebus had to go up to Trump Tower to get him to sign it, to ask him to do so. He did, and then we went to a subsequent debate, and we were all asked if we would reaffirm our support of whoever the nominee was going to be by raising our hand. There were 10 of us on the stage. 9 of us raised our hands. The one who didn't was Donald Trump. And so I'll take the pledge in 2024 just as seriously as Donald Trump took the pledge in 2016.
What do you make of the fact that the RNC is not allowing a carve-out even if the candidate and the nominee has been convicted of a felony?
Look, I think the pledge is just a useless idea, Jake. And by the way, in all my life, we never had to have Republican primary candidates take a pledge. You know, we were Republicans. And the idea is you'd support the Republican whether you won or whether you lost. And you didn't have to ask somebody to sign something. It's only the era of Donald Trump that you need somebody to sign something on a pledge. So I think it's a bad idea. I've expressed that to Ronna Romney McDaniel personally, directly. So this is not the first time she's hearing it. But look, I will do what I need to do to be up on that stage to try to save my party and save my country from going down the road of being led by three-time loser Donald Trump. Loser in 2018 by losing the House, loser in 2020 by losing the White House and the United States Senate, and the worst midterm performance we've seen in a long, long time, led by Donald Trump-selected candidates with Donald Trump as the main issue in many of those races. Loser, loser, loser.
I mean, these are people, the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the Attorney General, the Secretary of State, the if you will, White House counsel, and also the high level, top level positions in Trump's orbit, and yet he's calling them now gutless pigs, lazy, dumb as a rock. You know, first of all, the language is unsettling in terms of what Trump should be saying about people. But the other thing of it is that if Trump really feels that way, okay, fine, let him say it. My concern is this: is Chris Rock, I'm going to call the guy Chris Christie, in the 2016 cycle, kissed up to Donald Trump, you know, like he was Gene Harlow or somebody. He was just all over like white on rice. And the same Bill Barr, who Trump has referred to, what do you call Bill Barr? He called Bill Barr a gutless pig, I think he called him lazy too. A gutless pig? Bill Barr does look a little onky. Onk. He does, you know, it's okay, I passed him out. All right, what did you do? Bill Barr, single-handedly, I think more than anybody else during the Trump administration, during those 4 horrific years, enabled Trump to destroy what we refer to as democracy, notwithstanding that Democrats are just as wicked, if not more so. But there was a modicum, there was a line, there was a Rubicon that even the evil Democrats and the evil Republicans didn't cross over. And even Richard Nixon, when he was finally confronted with the fact that they got the tapes and everybody knows what you've done, Richard Nixon resigned. But Trump, more than anybody else, Bill Barr, more than anybody else, enabled Trump. He's quashed the Mueller. When the Mueller report came, I remember distinctively, I was in the auditorium out in Queens watching Deborah Love perform an opera. I forget the name of the play, opera where she was in, but I was watching my phone. Came in on, I think it was Sunday afternoon, something. And I was watching, and Bill Barr, the report came out, Bill Barr quashed it, held it under wraps for like 3 weeks before people could really get a real good look at it, at what it said, what Mueller said. And Mueller, who was another one, didn't step up and say, wait a minute, this is not the report that I gave. You're misinterpreting the report that I gave. Trump is guilty of working in collaboration with Russia to win the 2016 election, and that's what the findings will reveal. But Bill Barr quashed it. So, Chris Christie, Bill Barr, Mick Mulvaney, and John Kelly, and all the rest of them out there now. But you have to remember, they were shining Trump's boots worse than I did down there in North Carolina when I was a professional spit rag popping shoe shine boy. I was a spit rag popping shoe shine boy. And I swear Bill Barr, in terms of shining Trump's shoes, was spit ragging and spit rag popping. And same thing with Chris Christie and all the rest of them. Now all of a sudden, They smell blood in the water because there is blood in the water. There's a whole lot of Trump. There's a whole lot of Trump blood in the water. Listen, Trump is bleeding like a menstruating woman. Now, if that offends y'all, don't get upset with me. I just, I'm just being colorful here. Trump, listen, these indictments, Trump is being stuck like a pig, and he's bleeding like a menstruating woman with all that stuff that's going on with him now. And I'm telling you, he's going to bleed out. And big old Chris Christie like a shark, and Bill Barr like a shark, and all of them smell blood in the water. And they're going after Trump. And that may be a good thing as well.